Is it just me, or does it feel like the year of 2022 has been one big evil curse on AEW? Some of it does seem pretty self-inflicted, and in some cases even preventable, but some has also just been dumb luck. It feels like none of Tony Khan's plans have been able to get off the runway, let alone have a smooth flight without turbulence. There's been very little fluidity in most of what AEW's put on show this year, and most of it I thought was due to injuries. And to be fair to AEW, for most of the year, that really was the number one culprit in plans being changed. I was clearly hopeful when I put out a video about a month ago claiming that AEW was on the cusp of another golden run. I had fully bought into the idea that AEW was about to crush the last few months of this year and send us all into a high note as we entered 2023. But in typical fashion for this year, things just haven't worked out. Truthfully speaking, I'm not here to pick sides on the fiasco that's happening backstage. I genuinely don't care one way or another who is to blame. It may sound disingenuous, but I promise you that is the truth. Yes, I have absolutely been keeping up with the latest news from behind the scenes, but nothing is more important to me than the on-air product. I don't care who is to blame or what the repercussions are. If it ends up with Kenny and the Young Bucks leaving, I'll be extremely disappointed, as AEW would be losing some incredible talent and the founding fathers of the company. If AEW lose CM Punk, I will be equally as disappointed, as they would be losing one of, if not the biggest draw the company has at the moment. I am not cheering for the downfall of AEW, therefore I am not cheering for anyone's departure from the company. Well, anyone talented. The absolute ideal scenario from all of this, if you are an AEW fan, is for things to be worked out. Not everyone has to get along, not everyone has to be friends, but business needs to roll on, with or without CM Punk, Kenny Omega, or the Young Bucks. If the talent involved cannot work out their differences and cannot work together, the business needs to move on without them. Is that a massive blow? Absolutely. But is it a necessary loss? Yes. It sucks that I was so optimistic about this year. I made videos and left comments on other creators' videos saying things would work out for the best, and at the end of the day, we would get through this speed bump. It would be easy to lose that optimism, but while thinking about this situation, I remembered something I said in my last video about MJF. AEW's booking has been multi-layered from the beginning. There is short-term, mid-term, and long-term booking simultaneously at play. AEW's short-term and mid-term booking have been an absolute mess this year, specifically the short-term. However, I realized why I enjoyed AEW in the beginning, and that was always the long-term storytelling at play. And I feel like that is the final frontier that has been surviving the storm. Perhaps I'm using it as my final beacon of hope, but I still believe the long-term storytelling in AEW is on track. It's hard to see the forest for the trees, and for those of us who watch week in, week out, it feels extremely chaotic right now. Things feel like a mess. It's like a tornado has just shredded through our small town. There's some rebuilding to do and some damage has been done, but our small town is still here. We will remember this tumultuous time in AEW's history, there's no doubt about that, but when we look back in 2 or 3 years, what will be more important, the injuries and the backstage drama, or will it be MJF's eventual coronation as AEW World Champion and the story beyond that? Despite writing a script for this video, I do feel it's all over the place. And that's because my thoughts right now are all over the place. I want to hold out hope that everything will be okay in AEW, but it feels like the company is giving me every reason not to have faith. But like I said earlier in the video, the most important thing to me is the on-air product. Last Dynamite was pretty good. I would have liked a bit more of an explanation from Tony Khan as to the stripping of the titles. For those who only watch TV, I'm sure that was an incredibly jarring moment. But overall, I do think the recovery is pretty good. A tournament for the world title with the final being at Grand Slam and MJF lurking afterwards is a nice result in the end. I know it seems they're building to a Jon Moxley versus MJF match, but I would really like a curveball from AEW here. I would have Chris Jericho beat Jon Moxley in the final. Jericho is far from my favorite talent in AEW, but he's doing the best work of his AEW career since dropping the wizard gimmick and embracing his past as Lionheart. The newfound self-belief of being the GOAT and the best wrestler in the world right now is fitting him and his persona like a glove. He defeated Bryan Danielson, and if he could take out Moxley too, a man who he has history with, that would be a massive win in his career to become a two-time AEW World Champion. Not only that, but Chris Jericho and MJF have a much deeper history than anyone else in the tournament. With MJF being a tweener right now against a somewhat heelish Jericho, that dynamic feels good to me. Moxley was actually getting booed against MJF, who the crowd just wants to love right now, as he is echoing so much of the fans' sentiments. I certainly won't turn my nose up at a Danielson versus Moxley final or a Moxley versus MJF match for the world title. It does feel like Tony Khan has set himself up as best as he could given the circumstances, and most results from this tournament will go down well with me. It sucks that it won't be CM Punk handing the belt to MJF, but it is still a good result, and here I am back on my optimism bike. And why not? The on-air product is still good. It's not as magical as it could have been or should have been, but this is professional wrestling and things happen. Plans change, and I'll still be here for the ride as long as the ride makes sense. I'm not really sure what this video was, to be honest. I started typing and I didn't stop. I feel like it was a bit of a mess, almost like AEW's booking this year or their shows this year. I still hold out a lot of optimism, like I said, long term, but this is definitely a very strange and frustrating time to be an AEW fan. Like, everything up until this day has been so well planned out, especially for someone who has been watching from the very beginning, where the first 2 years of the company's existence, the things that were planned out went 100% exactly as you'd want them to go. Yeah, I guess there were slight hiccups here and there, but realistically speaking, most of the long-term plans were not affected for the first 2 years, or the first, let's call it the first chapter of AEW, where Hangman won the belt from Kenny. That succession line was pretty clean. The TNT title, the succession line for the most part was pretty clean. The tag titles, again, very clean succession line. Things have gotten very messy and very muddled up, and honestly, you'd have to say it's since the ex-WWE signings. Funnily enough, I made a video a little while ago saying that the ex-WWE problem is not a problem, simply an evolution of the company. It's easy to go back to that first chapter and say, look how simple things were. Simplicity worked, and it is a very good argument that is strengthening every single week, every single month. That argument of it being simpler is actually strengthening a lot. However, on the other hand, the viewership was not the same. The major problem or the major issue that was always brought up when Tony Khan was signing all this talent was, can he make it work? And so far, it's a struggle. My optimism is still there. Let's hope he can turn it around. But like I said in the video, AEW is giving me every single reason not to be optimistic, and for some reason, I still am. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a sucker. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. This was a video of a man going insane, basically. I had to type this all out because I was just literally going insane. So if you can leave a like on it, that would be great. Interested to see what you guys think down below. I'm sure this would be probably one of the most polarizing comment sections for my videos. So let's have a chat down below. I have a feeling most of you probably are not on the same boat as me. So I don't know. Let's see. I hope you did enjoy today's video, and I hope you guys are happy and healthy. I hope life's treating you well. See you in the next one very, very soon. Stay stunning, boys.